The rumble of engines cut through the stillness of the night like distant thunder. Out on the far edge of Elm Ridge, past the sleepy motels and rusted-out drive-ins, there was a stretch of forgotten asphalt, Maple Street, a wide, flat road where the streetlights flickered and the cops barely bothered to patrol. It was every gearhead's dream, open, dark, and just long enough to see what your car was made of. It was Saturday night, the way it always was. Parked under the buzzing glow of a liquor store sign were 3 muscle cars, shining like candy in the moonlight. Each one was a beast of its own. Jordan, J.T. Miller, leaned against his burnt orange 1969 Camaro Z-28, puffing on a Lucky Strike, black leather jacket zipped to the neck. He had the slick back hair, the devil-may-care grin, and a V8 under the hood that could drown out the sound of your heartbeat. Beside him, leaning on the hood of his midnight blue 1972 Chevelle SS, was Ricky Delgado, the fast-talking son of a used car dealer who always bragged that he was born on wheels. He wore his dad's old army jacket and carried a switchblade he never used, just to look tough. And pulling in with her sunglasses still on at midnight was Kayla K.K. Nguyen and her cherry red 1970 pontiacgto Judge. She didn't say much, never did, but everyone knew when she was ready to race. The way her engine purred, it was like the whole street held its breath. The night smelled of gasoline, asphalt, and Marlboro smoke. The wind was quiet, the air warm, and the town asleep. "All right, JT," said, tossing his cigarette and grinding it out with his boot. "We doing this or what?" "Winner gets to lose his gas money," Ricky grinned, spinning his keys on his finger. Kayla revved the GTO in response. That was her yes. The 3 pulled their cars to the line, a faded chalk mark some kid drew years ago that had become the starting line for every underground race since. Engines growled, lights dimmed, the world narrowed down to that one stretch of road. 3, 2. Suddenly, flashing red and blue pierced the dark from the far end of the street. "Ain't no way," JT whispered, heart lurching. "Cops!" Ricky yelled. All 3 dropped the clutch and floored it. Rubber screamed, engines roared, and the chase was on. They bolted down Maple Street, splitting up at the first turn like a pack of wolves scattering from a hunter. But the cop car locked on to JT's Camaro. He tore through the streets like a madman, shifting gears like he was born with a hearse shifter in his hand. Alleyways blurred, street signs vanished. All that existed was the needle climbing past 90, then 100, then more. His breath was shallow, heart pounding in rhythm with the engine. He tore down Hawthorne Avenue, ignoring stop signs, burning through lights. There was a curve coming. He downshifted, tires screeching, then back to full throttle. He didn't want to go to juvie. He didn't want the car impounded. That Camaro was all he had left of his old man who passed last year. He wasn't going to lose it. Up ahead was the crossing at Birch and Hollis, one of the blindest intersections in town. He'd always cleared it before. This time, someone was there. A battered 1965 Ford Fairlane driven by a nurse named Eleanor Hodge was rolling slowly through on her way home from a double shift at the county hospital. She had her windows cracked and the radio playing Al Green. She never saw him coming. JT slammed the brakes, tires screamed. Eleanor looked left just in time to catch a flash of orange and chrome. The collision sounded like a bomb, steel on steel, glass shattering like fireworks. The Camaro flipped once, landed on its side. The Fairlane crumpled like a soda can. And then, silence. JT awoke days later in a hospital room with an IV in his arm, bandages covering his head and chest. He tried to speak. His throat was raw. What happened? His mom's lips quivered. "You hit someone. A nurse. They said it's a miracle either of you lived." Tears welled up, not from the pain, but from the guilt. Later the cops came, then school officials, and eventually Kayla and Ricky. "She's still in surgery," Ricky said quietly. "They say she might not walk again." Kayla stared out the window. "They're talking about pressing charges, maybe more." "I wasn't trying to hurt nobody," JT whispered. "I was just racing?" Kayla snapped. "You almost killed a nurse, a real person, not just someone in a car." Ricky lowered his head. "We were lucky, man, all this time. but it was bound to catch up. The next week, JT sat in a courtroom and pled guilty. He didn't make excuses. He accepted community service, a suspended license, and mandatory talks at local high schools about traffic safety. But the real punishment came when he visited Eleanor. She was in a wheelchair, pale but composed. Her daughter stood beside her, holding her hand. "I don't hate you," Eleanor said, her voice calm but firm. "But I need you to understand what you took from me. I do, and I'm sorry. I swear on everything I got left, I'll spend the rest of my life making it right." A year later at Westridge High, JT stood at the front of the gym with photos projected behind him, the mangled Camaro, the Fairline's broken fender, his own bruised face. "I used to think being fast made me someone, that beating the next guy off the line was worth any risk. But I was dead wrong." He looked around at the juniors and seniors, some chewing gum, some glued to every word. "You can love cars, you can love speed, but you gotta respect the road. Because the road doesn't care about your dreams. And it sure as hell doesn't care about how cool your ride looks when you're in a coffin." He paused, took a breath. "I still dream about the crash sometimes. But what keeps me going is knowing I can stop someone else from making the same mistake. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until you're pulling glass from your skin and crying over someone's blood. Be smarter than I was." He stepped off the stage to quiet applause. It wasn't a roar, but it was real. In the race for thrills, some don't make it to the finish line. Street racing isn't just a gamble with the law. It's a gamble with lives. You might escape 100 times, but one mistake, and it's forever. Respect the road. Respect life. Or one day, it'll all catch up.